Okay, hello. So I wanted to show you a little bit about this is called Hotjar. It is a um, program that you can or you can put a bit of code on your website and it will track activity that is going on your website. So this can be super useful to find out how people are interacting on any given page on your website, to find out where there's lots of activity, where people are dropping off and things like that. So I just have the free plan. I installed it on my website a few months ago, and I am not a coder or anything like that, but I was able to figure it out. And Hotjar does make it as easy as possible for you to do that as well. So don't be intimidated thinking, oh, I can't do it. You can. I myself, like I said, if I can do it, you can do it. So I wanted to give you a brief overview of some of the awesome things analytics and data you can get from it. One of them is this dashboard, which will tell you what your top pages were, and you can set, of course, whatever your day is, how many far back you want to look, and the average session that people will spend on it, and things like that, the bounce rate and whatnot. You could even compare that to Google Analytics. I find usually that's not a super useful thing to do, but if you're into that, go for it. I do find there's usually a discrepancy of sorts between what Wix is saying, Hotjar, and Google Analytics. But anyway, that it is something, they tend to be around the same numbers, but they're not exact. Okay, so this is your dashboard where you can get this kind of information. And some of it is, new versus returning and things like that, top country. So this kind of information you can also get from your Google Analytics. The second thing I wanted to show you are the recordings. This one I find quite fascinating because so that's only the last 24 hours. If I make it say just the last 3 months, you get a whole list of recordings, and it will tell you whether the recording you're viewing, where they're at, how many actions they took on any pages of your website, how long they were on there for, and things like that. So it will also sort it by relevance, how much Hotjar thinks the insightful the recording is. So for example, if I were to take, I'm just going to, you haven't seen this one yet, so I'll play this one here. And it's quite fascinating to watch because you can actually see how people are interacting with your page. Okay, I think this actually was me when I was testing some things out, but regardless, it is kind of fascinating to watch it as it's happening. The other thing I wanted to show you, so I'm going to go over here, and I wanted to show you the heat maps. And the heat map is I find very interesting because this one here, this one will tell you, it's called all clicks, and it's showing you, for example, for me, it's showing me on my services page where people are clicking, and I'm just going to close that. The cooler the color, the less clicks it's getting, and the warmer the color, like I think down here there's a bit more, it's getting a little bit more action here. Okay, and then you can also look at how people are moving on the page, where they're most active. Obviously the more color there is, that's where people are clicking more there, so it may be something that catches their attention. um, and so again, it's just interesting information about where people are clicking, what their activity is on the page. And scrolling, I find this one particularly useful, especially if this is on a sales page, because you can see where people are dropping off and how far down they're going. And here it says average fold is right here. So it's telling me that people aren't clicking even past the average fold that most people do. So that gives me some information like, do I need to move my copy up, or do I need to change the copy? So it provides information, but it doesn't exactly tell you what is happening or why it's happening. But still, so I find out that, for example, let's say I really want to push master website copy, I might consider moving it up here instead of audit my website. It just depends, but it gives you some useful information. So if you do find things people aren't really seeing a lot of what's at the bottom of the page and you want them to, that you might consider moving things up or closer to the top so they have more of a chance of seeing it. So I just wanted to show you that to you again. I encourage you to install something like this on your website. It's not difficult to do. And then actually use the data to help guide you, give you some kind of information when it comes to your website, to your copy, to your design. Things like that can be super useful.